So I'm not sure how good this is going to pick up out here. Got all the vehicles on the highway up here making a lot of noise. But just thought I'd make a little video here. So I've seen some videos lately, and some that Bob Benny had of him selling honey, some interviews he did. But it makes me think, you know what, us as beekeepers, hopefully you're not picking up that wind. Us as beekeepers, right, and raising honey, I think we need to provide a good, affordable honey to the people around us. One of the goals I have as a honey producer is to get people to start using more honey than they do your plain sugar, your table sugar. I have some plans this year of trying to get with people who want to switch over to just honey and giving them lower prices, so that way they feel like it's an easier switch to do as far as cost wise. It'll help me out if they're buying more honey from me. I mean, like, the bigger the jug I have, the cheaper I sell it. So if I can make deals with them, hey, you know what, try this out, I'm going to be using so much honey, even if it's in the smaller bottles, I'll give it to you for this price. But if it works out good for you, then start buying the bigger jugs. And where the bigger jugs pay off, it pays off in time and also the container cost. Container cost, obviously, for a little one is like, let's say $1. Plus you got the label on there, so it's a little over $1. On a big, let's say on a bucket, right, you're talking a few dollars, but you have a lot more volume. If I had the same volume as I did with the little half pints, it would be, it'd probably be, I don't know, $60, maybe not quite that high, but a lot of money just in the plastic containers. But you start looking at that, and if people would just buy more honey, especially local, right? So my goal isn't to be a packer one day and buying honey from all these beekeepers, though I wouldn't mind buying from local beekeepers and doing something like that one day. But I don't want to be shipping it all over the country or doing that. I want it to be in my area, right? I want the beekeepers that are in your neighbors, they're your neighbor, that have bees in their backyard. I want you to buy from them. Now, hopefully they're not ripping you off in honey prices, but maybe you can do things for them. Maybe you can go ahead, hey, you know what kind of flowers can the bees really grow off of and make nectar off of? And maybe you can do some of that around your place. Some of the things is not even mowing all the time. Like, if you let your lawns get up, and if you got any clover or dandelions even, right, the bees just love that. So you might not want to do your front yard that way, but maybe your backyard or something, you can let it get a little longer, a little more forage for the bees. But I think all those things is better as a community to be able to do those things, right? To be able to get that better price on the honey, you being able to sell your honey. Now, especially a lot of people that only have a few hives, they should have no problem selling their honey. It should go pretty quick. But it's not about gouging other people to make the highest buck. I think when we can look at it today, look at what it's all become. I seen this one video of this guy going to Shark Tank, had some type of sprinkler he was going to be selling to farmers, and I forget how much he wanted to pay for it, but I forget which one of the guys was trying to offer him, oh, well, you know what, if you do it for like $12-16, right, I'll buy into that. He's like, because I got to make my profit and everything, and the distributors. And the guy's like, no, you can't do that. This is going to farmers. I mean, they're already going to be buying hundreds of these things, so they're going to be spending $16,000-$20,000, and they can't afford those. And that's one thing. Like, now you get into the big farms, corporation farms. They act just like those guys, right? It's all about money. It's all about where they can get the highest margins for little input. And you know what? As a beekeeper, growing up as a farmer, my dad worked a full-time job, and he had bought a farm, and we worked this little tiny farm. And all he ever got out of the farm, for the most part, was put back into the farm. It was never used to go on vacations and do all these fun things. It was like put back into the farm. And the thing is, though, the enjoyment for a lot of us smaller beekeepers, smaller farmers, it's not about the money, right? It's about the enjoyment we get of doing this, right? So my dad had a farm that he was able to raise his kids up on, and we were able to go out there, play around on their hunt, do shooting, do a bunch of crazy things too. And it's that lifestyle, and so a lot of us aren't in it for the money. We're in it for the lifestyle. And when we start focusing on the money, yeah, we can make the money, but at what cost, right? I look at some other families around where they did really well, and their kids, I mean, they didn't have no joy in the farm. The farm actually got sold off. They had a really good. They raised had orchards. And they made a lot of money. They ended up selling out to some bigger farmer, and I think that farm's a corporation, I believe. And it's just like the little farmers are going, these young people are wanting to get into it, and we're stuck with these corporations that are just looking at that margin. They want to get a high margin for their product, and that's what we're dealing with. And so I think we, as some of the little guys, the little producers, we need to start thinking about not getting the most for our money, but providing value to our customers. I've had some people, I've seen some comments get mad about people selling, their honey too cheap. They don't realize it's sold by the weight and not the volume. It's like, we do understand that. Though most people don't necessarily they don't buy honey by the weight, they buy it by the volume. So, though on the labels we're required to put the weight, when I sell, I'm selling by the size. People are familiar with sizes. They're not familiar with honey weights. They don't understand that the fluid ounce weight is not the same for honey as it is for water or other liquids. But anyways, getting into this, we need to. They get upset that some beekeepers are just underselling their honey, and it makes it harder for them. And I understand. For some people, they drop a bunch of money into their hives, and for it to pan out, maybe not get a lot of honey, and they got to sell their honey for a lot more. And if you're a smaller guy that has one hive or 20 hives, and you have a bad year, you lose a bunch of hives. You lose a bunch of hives, and you didn't get the honey crop. It was more dry that year, or whatever. You had a little bit of drought. Well, some of the things that you can do, I mean, you can go ahead and say, you know what, this year I got to raise my prices because I only got this much money. The costs of the bees to keep them to get them treated, or for the feed, or whatever you're putting into the hives, or maybe replacing the hives, costs this much money. Man, I'm just gonna be breaking even this year, right? And that's one thing, right? As far as a hobbyist, I'm not saying hobbyists shouldn't make money, but you're in it for the enjoyment, not the profit. And one thing too, the lifestyle that bees will give you, being outdoors, being able to partake in their hard work too, as far as gathering the honey, eating the honey, that's already a win, I think. But being able to, if you're selling it local to your neighbors, right? They see your hardships too. They see, oh man, you know what? He lost half his hives this year, man. He's really struggling. He's always been selling us good honey. Maybe he even gives us a little bit sometimes. You know what? I'll be willing to pay that extra 20% this year or whatever, right? But don't keep your prices there if you can help it. Drop them back down. And I'm not saying be unreasonable, low on your prices. I know it's not. If you were to do it at a loss every year, there's no reason even collecting the honey at that point. It'd be more like, hey, you know what? Just have bees, just to have them. And I know a few people that way, that they like to just have bees on their property, and I help them out, go out there and go through the hives for them. But it's I think as smaller farmers, we got to pick it up, right? We got to be more aggressive in getting our product out there, but not aggressive in prices, right? We need to be very competitive in our prices at giving a great value to the consumer. I think if we do that, we will succeed. Our community will succeed as far as being a little closer, a little tighter. And I mean, we've all seen it. When we give something to somebody, they're usually appreciative of it. And when they have opportunity, they give something back to us too. So, I mean, it's just kind of that, I guess you could say, give and take in a way. But it's just kind of how that is. Now, not everybody's going to reciprocate that way, but there's going to be a lot that will. I mean, that's just, in a sense, in our nature. If we are nice like that, a lot of people will feel that they need to be that way back towards us. But and also on all this, like what I'm thinking in my head as far as this goes is all this honey that comes from out of our country into our country, and some of it not even being true honey or being mixed honey and all those other issues. If you're buying it from a local beekeeper, and especially if he's your neighbor and you see his hives, you see him extracting, you see when he has a tough year, he doesn't have as much honey to sell. You see all those things. You know that he's being honest. You know that he's not mixing stuff into his honey. Maybe you can even go and help him out. Maybe he'll give you honey because you help him extract the honey or pull the honey or whatever it is, right? And you look into those things like that and you think, that's such a better way than when you go to the store and it says a product of the USA, and you say, well, that product of the USA doesn't necessarily mean it came from the USA. And let's say some of it did. It doesn't even mean that all of it's from the USA. So you look at those things and you say, you know what? Or you should be looking and say, you know what? I'm going to buy from a local beekeeper. I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm going to go on Craigslist. I'm going to see if anybody local has it. I want to go talk to them. I want to see them. Stopping by a farmer's market, see if there's anybody that's selling honey there and talking to them. Like that's what you need to do. And like maybe go to them and say, hey, I want to switch over 100% to honey. I don't want to buy any of this table sugar no more. What can you do to help me out there? Because it's an expensive step over, right? They might be working with you for that. And because it gives them sales, gives them a market to go into. And one thing too is spread it to those who might want to do it. Let people know, hey, you know what? I'm switching over to 100% honey. I got this beekeeper over here. I mean, push him some business, I think would be a good thing. And what I see with all this is everybody wins. I guess there is a loser. The loser are the ones who are importing it from other countries, and those countries that are exporting it, they're losing. But I don't necessarily see it as losing. I mean, why not use that honey in your country, feed your people, help your guys out, right? Don't be doing this table sugar and all this, right? I'm not saying there's not a place for that. I mean, like I feed my bees sucrose, so they will still have plenty of business from people like me buying from them. But it's not going to be the humans consuming that, which our bodies have a hard time with that, and it doesn't have all the best things it doesn't have all the things that honey comes with that are very beneficial to us and our bodies. And so, like, I don't know, I'm just rambling a little bit, but I think we really need to, even as people who don't have much, maybe they have a little backyard, maybe you don't even have a yard, maybe you can just put some pots of flowers out or something, right? Providing something for the bees, for your local beekeeper, for his bees to get pollinate or to get nectar off of, but just helping out in a way where you become useful to everybody else. Like, I work at a facility where they process French fries, right? Process potatoes. And there for a while, during COVID and everything, right? They had this saying, oh, we're heroes, and all, they gave everybody shirts and stuff saying that we're heroes. And I was like, this is ridiculous, right? Heroes, we're producing French fries. We're making America fat. We don't need French fries. We're not really a facility that needed to stay open. Now, I'm against the whole shutdown, so don't think I'm saying that we should have stayed open. I think everybody should have stayed open and had been able to have a living that way. But the idea behind being a hero is because you're producing food because you're an essential worker. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, first off, you look into some of this, right? Like, I was actually going to buy, I'm going to buy some containers to put my honey equipment in. And they're saying, oh, we give discount to military workers, EMT, firefighters, police, and nurses. And I said, why do you give it to nurses? Oh, because they're on the front lines. Yeah, but do you realize that farmers, their death rate is way higher than nurses? Their farmers' suicide rate is a lot higher than nurses. I mean, nurses and doctors, they see a lot of terrible things. They have to deal with a lot of terrible things, and I'm glad they're there. But here's one thing, right? The difference between farmers and doctors and nurses and all that. Most people can survive without doctors and nurses. Now, the sick people might not. But without farmers, everybody's gone, right? And I'm not trying to get a discount, but it's just like, it's funny where like heroes used to be people who actually did service, right? Where they risked their lives in their at the cost of maybe their family not having them anymore and all that. And now it's down to people who make French fries, right? So it's a bit ridiculous. And I'm not asking for people to deal with farmers, but understand the importance of farmers and beekeepers and people like that are producing necessities for us that we cannot survive without. And like I said, it's not even, I don't want any price gouging from these beekeepers. So if you're a beekeeper, don't price gouge. If you're not a beekeeper and you're a buyer, buy more. Help them out that way, right? I don't know. I'm just rambling too much. I think I probably should just end this video here, kind of going on a repeat. But yeah, just this lifestyle shouldn't be about money. It shouldn't be all the fun things we can do. It should be the stuff that we're doing is what we enjoy. My dad is 77 years old. He still gets up every morning. He still goes down, cuts wood for his wood stove, does things with the farm. We hauled some cattle for the other day, so he's getting corrals ready, doing all that type of stuff. 77 years old. Now, he slowed down a lot this last year because he got sick, so he's been slowing down quite a bit. But I know he'd like to slow down a little more. It's not even slow down. He doesn't like to have the pressure, have to get this done on a certain time. The work is fine. It's just, you got to get this done. Hurry up. You're late. And that's always stressful. But that lifestyle of getting up and still working at 77 years old, and not that he has to, right? I mean, he can just stay inside the house all day and watch TV if he wanted to. And I want to be like him. When I'm old, when I'm 77 years old, I want to be going out and working with the bees, working on the farm, doing something. I don't want to be sitting inside watching TV. I think that's a terrible way to spend the last days of your life. I mean, take your grandkids out, take your kids out, be profitable as far as not money-wise, but be profitable with your labor, doing something, accomplishing things, providing people with something. Don't sit back and be lazy. So I guess if you just sum up this whole video, compress it, don't gouge people. Try to switch over to help farmers more. Try to buy more local as you can, right? Because those are the guys that you're going to know and be able to trust. Don't be lazy, and just think about what you're doing and how to provide for those around you, not just how much money, all the fun things you can do. You'll never be totally pleased that way, because you're never going to be able to keep on filling your life with those things. But there will always be work, and if you can enjoy your work, you'll always be happy. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. If you haven't, subscribe to my channel. Give this video a like if you've liked what I said. Share it with others if you think they need to hear some of this. And I will see you in the next video. See you later.